I got it. Don't worry about it. Yep. Happy 2020 to you too. Hey! How's it going? Welcome back. Happy 2020. Yeah, right. 2020 was anything but happy. That was my PR advisor telling me, don't talk about things like face masks or riots or other things. I tell you, this world, it's changed. But anyways, he did say I could talk about a couple of things. Number one is I could talk about the quarantine and the virus. Which brings me to an interesting point. Last time we talked about the internet in general, how it's interconnected, and we introduced the character, Rodney the Router. That's right, there were a lot of Rodney the Routers out there that interconnected these chute systems and made sure that when they get a package that nobody knows where it goes, they have a new list of places to send it. And if they don't have it on their list, they have a default chute or default gateway where they would send it over there and let them figure it out. And eventually somebody would get it, one of the Rodney routers would get it where you go, I know where neighborhood fuchsia is, let me send it over there. So this is a system that's kind of built out, and this really represents the way the internet, or really the way the internet is today. But something new happened. Something that's very analogous to the 2020 that I talk about, the virus, the isolation, and everything else. So here's what happened. Tom, sitting there on his couch watching TV, and he gets a package. And the package opens it up, and there's a stink bomb in there. And he's like, "Whoa!" And his house smells really bad, and he's like, "What the heck?" So he, of course, is upset, but he just kind of ignores it, sits down. And the next day, he gets another package, opens it up, and there's a stink bomb there. And he's like, "Ah!" So he gets all upset, and he goes to the other people in the neighborhood, and it looks like other people are getting the same thing. So people are out there are maliciously sending stink bombs randomly to people's houses just for fun. So of course, they go to Rodney the Router, and they go to Mr. Switch, and they go, "Guys, why are you sending me stink bombs?" And they're like, "I don't know, I just look at where it's going, and that's where I send the package. It's not my job to sit there and look at and say, you're gonna get this, or you're not gonna get this." So this was a real problem, because they all of a sudden, had this almost like a pandemic of people sending other people things that they really don't want. So they had to call in an expert, a consultant. They brought in Fred Wahl. Yes, Fred Wahl. So Fred Wahl comes in, and he's like, I know how to solve this problem. So he brought us his team as experts. They came in, and instead of Rodney the Router handing off a package to Mr. Switch and sending it down a chute, they set up shop right in between there. And they set up a table, and the table was 10 feet long, and they said, okay, we're gonna look and we're gonna examine each package as it comes in. And we're gonna create a list. And on the do not send list is a stink bomb. On the approved list is a bunch of other stuff. So as they're coming in, they set up the table, they look at the package, and it says stink bomb. Check the list, nope, not allowed, and they throw it in the trash, right? So they put together the system, and it seemed to work. Nobody started getting stink bombs anymore, and they were all happy. The end. Not quite. Of course, bad guys are a lot smarter than this, right? So as soon as the bad guys figured out that, hey, they got Fred Wahl here, he's a consultant, and now we can't send our stink bombs anymore, they decided to change things up a little bit. They still packaged up a stink bomb, but on the label, instead of putting stink bomb, they reprogrammed their packaging system to put coffee, right? So now, Tom's sitting there on his couch, he gets a package, it says coffee, he opens it up, boom, stink bomb. What? So of course he goes and complains to Fred Wahl, the guy they came in to hire to look at all this stuff. So Fred Wahl was scratching his head and going, how are we going to solve this problem? So they sat there and they talked about it and said, look, what we need to do is we need to inspect deep inside this package. So they instituted this new protocol called deep package inspection. So here's what they did. Instead of just looking at the label, they would actually open up the package and see what's inside. And they would say, is this really what the label says it is? And if it is, and it's allowed, then when they put it back, and they would send it off. Of course, they needed a lot of resources, so they brought in more people to be able to do this. And the neighborhood, of course, is only so small, so they could only do it so fast. And once they instituted this, it started to work. The stink bomb stopped, and everybody was happy. Not quite. So, of course, the bad guys, they're smarter than this. And once all the neighborhoods started instituting this, and they knew they had so big of a table, there is one thing that I just want to kind of go back to and re-emphasize from the last video. So at this point, the entire world is using the chute system, right? And you know, if you want to get a refrigerator, you order it, and it comes in a lot of boxes, and this is pieces of the fridge, and then every product out there was assembled in a 10 by 10 box. You know, so you get 50 10 by 10 boxes, and as they open up, you stack together, and you have a brand new Sub-Zero refrigerator standing there. So as things started to progress, the bad guys that kept us in there and wanted to cause trouble, they figured things out. You know, they knew that things come in large packages. So, and they knew that Fred Wahl only had a table that fits 10 packages. So they started to write on there, refrigerator, right? And it's like, if Fred Wahl gets this and it says refrigerator, it's like, sets up all these packages, 10 tables, or 10 packages on a table, right? And opens them up, looks, I don't know, I can't tell, just send it through, right? We're not gonna throw away a refrigerator. So they kind of leverage this limitation of Fred Wahl's capacity, right? He only has capacity for 10 packages. So they would put on there, refrigerator, part 1, refrigerator, part 2. And then they would open it up and they go, I don't know what this is. Go ahead and send it through. We only have enough space for 10 packages. And they would just send it through. And of course, you know, Thomas in there, poof, stink bomb. Problem again. Right, so this was an ongoing kind of like a rat race between Fred Wahl trying to solve these problems of getting these viruses through or getting these malicious things through the system, and the bad guys continuously trying to get malicious things through the system. And it's the never-ending battle. It keeps going and going and going on. And we'll kind of like touch on future videos. We'll touch on how this whole industry evolved to protect these neighborhoods, protect the people, protect in the real world, protect corporations and companies from getting breached. Because at the end of the day, something can cost somebody a lot of money. Imagine you're a business serving coffee, a nice place or a restaurant, and all of a sudden in comes a stink bomb. Well, all of your customers are gone. Your revenue's impacted, right? Going back to our real world analogy, the same thing happens in the real world with the internet. So let's think about this for a second. You have your router, you have your switch, and in between there, oftentimes we fit in what's called a firewall, hence Fred Wahl firewall. And a firewall usually has limited capacity of what it can inspect, right? It's got a table size. Same as Fred Wahl had a table that only fit 10 packages. Usually you have a maximum table size in a firewall of what it can inspect. In the early day firewalls, they really just read the label, right? It would say, these are in TCP/IP, they're called ports. So these TCP ports or UDP ports are allowed, and these ones are not allowed. And it would just go based on whatever that packet is labeled on what port it is. Well, eventually people started using common ports because those things weren't blocked, like port 80 or 443. And all the applications started running across port 80. And all of a sudden the firewall becomes very useless because it only allows port 80 and everything goes across there. So the label says, hey, this is web traffic. But in reality, it can be a lot of different things. And the firewalls had to evolve to do what's called deep packet inspection. So they actually have to look further inside the packet to understand what is this really transmitting, not just what the label says. And this evolved into different types of products like intrusion protection system, and then antivirus on the gateway, and application control, and data leak prevention, and all of these different technologies that looked inside the packet to figure out, does this match your signatures? When we take this file, compile it together from all different packets, and scan it against an AV database, does it end up being a virus or something malicious? So these were how the gateways evolved. But again, they were limited because these small gateways at smaller businesses or homes, they could only scan so much and they only have certain capacity. If you're downloading a file that's 100 meg, there's no way that the small gateway could hold it in memory and scan 100 meg. You just usually pass it on through. So let's just sum up for a minute. Currently we have the entire country, and we have a chute system. We have locally Mr. Switch. We have Rodney the router, which sends packets over from one neighborhood to another. So we have a kind of national intercommunication system, or a system where people can send packages from wherever they want. And we started getting these malicious actors. And we brought in Fred Wahl in order to solve that problem. And as time went on, the malicious actors, they got better, and they figured out the limitations of Fred Wahl. Fred Wahl had to get better and overcome those limitations and continue to block malicious actors. And then malicious actors got better again and figured out the limitations of Fred Wahl. And this thing kind of went on and on for a while. And it continues to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to lead a story as it is today. This gives you a good idea of the central place of security, which is the gateway. The primary thing that started coming into place to protect networks, which is a firewall, and how it evolved. And it leaves the world in a state of somewhat secure, but still having this type of rat race going on. Next time, we're going to expand on that a little bit, and we're going to touch on a few other technologies or the evolution of the firewall, on how it brought better security and was able to overcome some of the challenges of Fred Wahl. Again, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video informative. And subscribe below, hit the like button, leave your comments. Thank you for watching.